none of us really know. None of us really know.
I know.
No, I know. Perfect timing, Keith.
Keith, what's up?
Your favorite movie of all time. F9.
Oh, good.
How is there any other choice than Remember the Titans being number one?
I'm curious.
I'm spoiling mine, but
Well, let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good, good
I'm
question,
not even
Brian.
done talking.
you shouldn't be talking at this point.
Oh, what a lovely day it is. Welcome back, everybody, to Apocaflix Movies and Apocaflix Now, our weekly hangout show here on the channel. I'm your host tonight, Jake Berlin, and welcome to the land of the mad. It is my show tonight, and I'm excited. I'm pumped. We're here to talk about some very exciting things. And hello, everybody in the chat. I am joined today by two fellow Apocaflixers, Mr. Brian Ablicino and Mr. Gio Ramos. Brian, how you doing today, man?
I am counting down the days till vacation and the hours and the minutes, and I'm sure you are doing the same. Slightly. Maybe. Maybe not. No?
I won't have it until the second it's over, so.
Today's workday went by so slow, and I'm just imagining tomorrow's going to be even slower. So I'm just waiting for the work days to be done.
You probably have this upcoming week on your mind, weekend.
Oh yeah,
That's
we've
why
been
it's going
talking.
slow.
Yeah, we've been talking about this since like what, August,
Mhm.
Jake, at least. So it's like, holy crap, it's fine. Like, it hasn't registered to me that I'm going to be on a plane in 2 days. Like, I haven't been on a plane in almost 3 years, maybe.
Wow.
So it's like, it's very weird, but exciting.
And Gio Ramos, how you doing, man? You hanging in there?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm hanging in there. As I told you both off screen before we started, I got my Pfizer booster shot, and
Good for you.
all last night I was feeling it. I woke up with the chills, and I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, like, it makes no sense." But yeah, just hanging in there. Did some Cyber Monday shopping. I resisted the Black Friday because usually Cyber Monday has slightly better deals, and that turned out to be the case this year. So thankful to even have the money to spend on such things. So yeah, and that's right, Star Drew. Yeah, we're on a run, baby. You hear that, Rachel? You Arizona Cardinals, you ain't safe. She even here? No.
No, not yet.
Probably not. She's a busy woman when it comes to weeknights.
I thought I just about to say, did you and Gio or Jacob end up going to like Best Buy and braving it?
No, because we found out that the stores actually closed on Thanksgiving, which I am happy about, because I'm going to sound so old saying this. 10 years ago, I worked at Target.
Me too.
And right when I worked at Target is when they started opening the stores on Thanksgiving. And I remember, like, it didn't rub me the right way, but I was also 21. I didn't, really care. I was like, whatever. I get to see some people, but yeah, I'm happy for everyone who got to spend Thanksgiving with their families, who did not have to go and work shitty retail. If you have ever worked retail before, we have an understanding. So yeah, Jake, I forgot you worked at Target. Yeah,
I did. I did the early morning unload shift. So I was there at 4 a.m. unloading the truck every morning with the line of boxes and loading stuff up on the floor. But because of Black Friday, we were the ones bringing stuff on the floor as stuff was let go, and so we were moving carts through all the people and everything. And when I worked there, I remember I had to work. So I worked that morning. Maybe I didn't work Thanksgiving morning. I think I worked the day before, but I worked 8 p.m. that night, I think, all the way until 4 or 5 a.m. the next morning.
Same.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I'm happy that I don't ever have to do that again. But it was brutal. I definitely agree. I think that stores should stay closed completely on Thanksgiving. And if you want to call I mean, for the last 10 years, it's been Black Thursday, technically.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't been Black Friday. And now we're getting back to Black Friday, which is how it should be. I mean, if you want to shop, that's fine, but don't shop on Thanksgiving. Like, just let the day be itself. Plus, now it's all about online shopping anyway. So, like, just stay home. Don't make your workers come in. And it's good to hear that stores like Best Buy are doing that, because don't make everybody come in on a day that's, to celebrate family.
It worked out for me because I got sick because of the booster. So I just did it all online anyway. So it was perfect.
You got your booster the day before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was a bad decision. I fevered for like 4 hours from like 4 to 8 in the morning, then just crashed. Then mom was here, but I had zero appetite, then fevered up from like 6 to 10 again, and then just knocked out. It was rough. So
yeah, I just popped
online
some Tylenol right now, so we'll see.
Water.
And tea in the POV cup. There you go.
There you go.
Well, all right. Before we get going, I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat here. I see RD Films in here. I see Star Drew. John Booze is in here as well. What's up, everybody? Jacob, Rachel. We see you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Whoever's lurking and not commenting, thank you so much for joining us. Fun little show planned tonight. Not a whole lot happening. We're gonna get into challenge here in just a sec, but we have some Star Wars stuff to talk about. Kathleen Kennedy made some interesting comments this last week, and we're kind of just going to talk about it, theorize, have a little fun conversation about the possibility of seeing some characters in the future. And then our main topic of the night, because December is tomorrow, which is crazy to think about. We're just going to
start decorating.
What?
Did you start decorating?
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
No more Grinch, Jake.
Decorating happens after Thanksgiving. I've always said.
No.
That's always been the case.
For Brian,
anyway,
it's the day after Halloween.
It is November 1st.
That's no. But we're gonna get into some Christmas movies, our favorite Christmas movies. Just have a nice little conversation back and forth about the movies that we like to go back to each and every year when this time of year comes around. So, and we'll get into maybe even a conversation about what it means to be a Christmas movie. That debate always seems to come up around this time of year. But before we get to all of that, let's go ahead and get to our first segment of the show, which is always the movie watching challenge. If you've not joined us before, the way this little segment works here today, or on this channel, I should say, very simple. The name explains itself. We challenge each other to watch movies we've never seen before. We do it each and every week here, and one of us gets the chance to challenge one other person on the panel, excuse me. And I was challenged last week by Mr. Jacob Bartley, who just happens to not be here tonight. To John Carpenter's The Thing. That is what I was watching this last week. A movie that I've wanted to watch for a very, very long time. Starring Kurt Russell, as you see there, among many other names. Before I get going, I just want to, Gio, Brian, have you guys seen The Thing?
Hell no. That movie
I saw it a long time ago, like with my uncle, but I hardly remember it. So, yeah.
Okay.
I was grossed out just getting the images for you last week. I've not seen this movie.
It's
it reminded me of The Fly, and that looks gross too.
The Fly is genius.
Well, before we get off topic here, so The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, a horror film that I've actually had on my list for a very long time. And as I mentioned on last week's show, I was already about 15-20 minutes into the movie when Jacob challenged me, which just happened to be the biggest coincidence of all time. I've obviously heard about it, how it's a staple in the horror genre and how it's a kind of teachable film to a lot of modern day filmmakers and storytellers with this type of story. I thought the movie was great. It's exactly what I expected it to be. I will say it wasn't as scary as I was expecting it to be. It didn't have like the typical like scare jumps. It was more of a visual scare, things that look terrifying. It's body morphing and I don't want to give too much away because neither of you have seen it, but or Gio has been on a long time, but it has to do with aliens and certain things coming from a different world and figuring out what this thing is and how it kind of works. It's almost like a mystery movie in a way. You're figuring, step by step, you're figuring things out as you watch the movie. And I loved how everything was kind of pieced together and how each puzzle piece was like kind of revealed as each thing happened. I obviously love the setting of like or not Icelandic, but a very cold setting, below temperatures. And it's just a very cool setting that we don't get to see a lot of these in movies these days, because it's all isolated and it makes them operate in a certain area. I will say that there was one very wrong part about this movie, and this is just a pet peeve of mine, but when it has anything to do with dogs, you're lucky that I even continued watching this movie. Like you're lucky I even continued to watch this movie. And I know that it was different back when this movie released.
Did they kill a
compared to
dog?
compared to what we're going through now. It's a lot different than it was then. So back then it wasn't as thought of as it is now. It moved the story forward, which it made sense. But if it was a modern day movie of this days, I probably would have turned it off just because I have zero tolerance for that type of stuff. But as far as the movie goes, I thought it was brilliant. I mean, John Carpenter is the master at what he does. He's the master at his craft. He's able to tell a story very, very well, with some great characters. There's like 8 different characters in this that take the spotlight at some point, and each one of them has a really good, section of the movie that kind of moves the story forward. This is actually great. This is actually a great word to use, paranoia. It has to do with paranoia, which is very, very cool. Because you don't see a lot of horror movies that deal with the paranoia side of things. Like thinking one thing when something else actually happens, or vice versa, and maybe you're actually right about what you're thinking, but because you may think something else is happening, you actually decide to do something else. And Kurt Russell was great. It was fun to see him in a horror movie along with the other cast members. But it's hard to review without spoilers. I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. I will just say that it lived up to what I expected it to. The visual representation of the thing in certain moments was definitely like, whoa, like, wow, they went there. Some incredible practical effects going on in this film. Maybe some of the best I've ever seen. I'd have to look it up as far as like maybe awards and stuff like that, if it won anything or got nominated, but I definitely think it should have, maybe for some makeup or something like that. Because it was brilliantly shot. First of all, it was brilliantly shot, and it was brilliantly told in the sense of the visuals, with the thing and kind of how it operated, and again how it slowly revealed itself over time, was very, very cool. I'm definitely surprised that there was like no sequel to this at any point. I know that the 2011 version is a prequel, and so I'd be interested to see if there were any ever talks about a sequel, or if there is a sequel I've actually never heard about. But the ending definitely left open like a possibility. And of course, the thing, like, there could have been multiple things, or, when did it arrive here or anything like that. And it's funny though, after this, I definitely want to go back and watch the 2011 version, because it is a prequel. I would be very interested in going back and watching that and kind of my perspective now that I've seen the original. Oh my God, he got a Razzie? No way.
That's what I was gonna bring up, because Jake, this person,
Really?
Ennio Morricone, who did the Hateful Eight and a whole bunch. He gets a Razzie for worst musical score.
What's funny is I thought the score was actually really good. I thought the score like intensified the moments that you're supposed to feel very tense and like nervous. Because, and like Tim said, I'm gonna keep going back to it, but it deals with the paranoia side of things, and like maybe lurking around a corner and being like, okay, like what the hell is there, or something like that. And the music kept amping up those moments for me anyway as I was watching it. So I'm very shocked to hear that it actually got a Razzie nomination. Maybe Razzies meant a little bit of a different thing back then. I don't know, but that's very strange. It is very strange because I actually like the score quite a bit. I think it's a very, very good score. Maybe someone just had it out for the movie. I don't know. That's very strange. That's very, very strange. So,
who cares about Razzies?
Razzies are Razzies, I guess. Yeah. So Gio, I know you said you've seen it, and I'm sure at some point you'll go back to watch it. But Brian, are you interested at all? Ever? Okay.
No. No.
Is there a reason?
Just looks weird. No.
I mean,
it's just not your thing.
I mean, I have like 900 movies that I need to get to before I can get to that one.
There's a board game.
Yeah, there's a lot more that I need to hit before I get to The Thing. I haven't even seen Ghostbusters yet, so
Okay, well, let's move on before we get in an argument here.
Mhm.
Gio, are you interested in going back and watching it in modern day now, or are you kind of
hell
just
yeah.
waiting your time?
No, absolutely. I'm long overdue for a visit with my uncle who's in Monterey, California, Central Coast, and I haven't seen him in almost 10 years, so I would love to revisit some movies. I'm sure he still has his VHS player and VHS tapes, so that would be an experience actually to see that. Although he probably doesn't have a TV for it anymore, so.
oh Jesus.
Yeah. So Tim Franco in the chat saying it's an all-timer, and I'm not going to argue with that. But I will say it's hard when horror isn't really like my number one genre. It's not really like what not that I don't enjoy it, but it's not what I gravitate to as a film fan. I'm more like the sci-fi fantasy type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm a wimp.
And
so.
two, the most important part is I think it might be hard for someone to go back and watch this movie in 2021 compared to like within like the 20 years of when it first came out, because of the way that visual effects are now these days. Not that to say I'm not appreciating. Like I said, the practical effects are incredible in this movie. But it's hard because you hear so many years of hype about like these movies. The same thing happened with Parasite. When I got challenged to Parasite, right? Everyone was freaking out about this movie, right? It won the Oscar. Everyone was hyping it up, and I watched it, and I was like, it was cool. I'm not saying the thing is just cool, but going back and watching a movie that I've been hearing about for so long, sometimes it is hard because your expectations are so high. But it's a really, really, really well done film that deals with a lot of things that you don't get to see these days. It's a simple story that kind of just like keeps digging the knife in a little bit as the story goes along. And John Carpenter's the best at it. So big kudos to him on that one. All right. Well, before we get too far into this, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of this. And this is where I get to challenge someone on the panel. And it just so happened to be that the two people that I get to challenge are actually here. I can't challenge Jacob and I can't challenge Keith. They were the last two people to review a film for the Movie Watch Challenge. And I had a hard time with this when I went through the list of movies that I wanted to challenge and what's available. And obviously, Brian has a very long list that I can challenge from. But I did challenge him last time. So I'm going to be challenging one Gio Ramos this time. And even though the list is a little shorter that we have up there for Gio, there was one movie that I really like. I really love. I'll say this. And it's relevant to maybe a movie that's being released right now. This director actually has a movie that came out in theaters very recently. And he's had two movies come out this year. So I'm going to be challenging you to one of the greatest war films ever made, and that is Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down.
Oh, HBO Max, baby. Hell yeah. No, I've heard so many things about this movie, and it's a movie that a lot of people nowadays, whenever they talk about war films and whatnot, I mean, it's definitely one of the movies that are brought up. I'm not saying it's up there in the
Pantheon,
the top, but I mean, yeah, this is one I've been wanting to watch for a while. I'm excited about this.
It's a really cool movie because it deals with a lot of different characters. It's one of those movies that has a lot of different sets of characters in a lot of different places when all their stories eventually come together. This was peak Josh Hartnett days, right? Adrian Brody is in here. Eric Bana is in here. It's one of those movies that has a fully loaded cast of people. And it's one of Ridley Scott's best. I will say that flat out. It's one of Ridley Scott's best films for sure. And I'm very shocked that you haven't seen it because I know that you're kind of a Ridley Scott fan as well.
Oh, wow. This cast, Tom Sizemore, Jason Isaacs, Tom Hardy, Orlando Bloom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Orlando Bloom. And I forgot about Jason Isaacs as well. He plays one of the lieutenants.
Ewan Gruffudd before Fantastic Four. Okay. Jamie Lannister.
Fully loaded cast, man. Fully loaded. Literally.
Hell yeah.
Even
Okay.
I've seen
Well, y'all remember the last time I got challenged to a war movie? It was
Apocalypse Now.
no, Apocalypse Now. Thank you.
Which you're
Yes.
welcome.
Wow, I
Wait,
had
so
no
Brian,
idea Ridley
Brian,
Scott
you
directed this.
Brian, you have seen this,
Mm-hmm.
and your thoughts on it?
It's really freaking good. It might be like one of the first, if not the first, like war movie I think I've ever watched. Because this movie came out when?
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look at
So
the cast. You would tell it's early 2000s.
Yeah. So I mean, but at 2000 I was 11. So I mean, yeah, I think this might have been like one of, if not potentially the first like war movie that I've seen. And I just remember being like, "Whoa, this movie is freaking intense!" Like,
It's intense. It's violent. Sit down, turn the lights off, and like just sit there and watch what's happening because it can be pretty hard to watch at times.
yeah, it gets brutal sometimes. So it's like,
I
but
think it was one of those because it came out at a time where we were obviously in war, right? You know, our country had been going to war with other people, and
Mhm.
it was a tough time in our country, and it was very, very realistic, very realistic. And I know a lot of films are like a lot of war movies are obviously, but because it was so relevant to what was happening at that time,
Right.
it impacted a lot and hit a lot of people a little bit harder than probably a typical war movie would. Saying something like Saving Private Ryan, which was about a war years and years beforehand. It was about something that was so recent in our history. So
I will say there was a time I used to watch this movie. I've watched this movie probably multiple times, where there was like, and where during the height of when Jake's talking about, where I was like, I'm going to be an army medic, and I was like, it's probably not a smart idea, but it's like, because you find yourself like putting yourself like, what would I do in that situation type throughout this movie, and it's like, it wouldn't last a second. But so
yeah.
yeah, it's rough, but it's good.
Mhm.
All right. Well, you'll be able to hear Gio's thoughts next week on Black Hawk Down, the Ridley Scott film. Super excited to hear what you think about that one. And then he'll obviously be challenging someone on the show next week as well. With all that said, let's go ahead and move into the first topic of the show. Before we get into our Christmas movies, which will be coming up here very shortly, we're going to talk some Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy did a recent interview with Empire Magazine, and it was released over the last week or so. And she had some very interesting comments to say about certain characters that we might end up seeing again. She said the following: certainly, those are not characters. When asked about the sequel trilogy characters, by the way, certainly those are not characters we're going to forget. They will live on, and those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well. Obviously, hinting at the idea of possibly seeing the likes of Rey and Finn and Poe Dameron again in the future of Star Wars. We just had a recent conversation about the struggles Lucasfilm has had to push the franchise forward a little bit. But it's a fun kind of conversation to have right now about who we could see, if this is a good idea, where we could see them. So before we get into specifics, I just wanted to ask both of you, do you like these comments? Do you think that it's a good idea to maybe include them at some point in the future? Does it get you excited about the possibility of that, Gio?
Um, is it a good idea? Yes, it is. And just take a look at the reception of Hayden Christensen returning 15 years later, Ewan McGregor returning, and I was just thinking about this earlier today. Like, what are the chances Natalie Portman would show up as Padme Amidala in a near future Star Wars project? But going back to the sequel trilogy, I mean, look, with the prequels, like there are things we love about it, but overall, not the fondest memories. Same could be said about the sequel trilogy, like there's some really great stuff in there. And I think the earliest that we could see these characters return would be the back half of this decade. I think they would be a fool not to do more with Daisy Ridley's Rey character. She was such a focal part of, the trilogy. Adam Driver, I think he expressed interest in returning. Said it had to do more about the filmmakers themselves and the story than just being a part of it, just to be a part of it again. And I don't know about Finn, John Boyega. Maybe you guys have heard something, but last time I heard from Boyega, he didn't really have kind words to say about where his character went, but that could be the door for some redemption. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I think it's a good idea, and it'll be some time. Don't get ahead of yourself, guys. It'll be some time, but you just look at the way fans are reacting to Hayden Christensen returning after all the years that he, took a beating on online, in the chats, online chats and whatnot. Star Wars fans will be happy to see these characters again. I doubt we'll see Gwendolyn what was her name? Phasma.
Phasma.
That one you can leave. But.
I'm kind of mixed on it. I don't personally see Finn coming back. John Boyega. I think he's done. I think he's just probably over it. I don't think he unless he's hurting for work and just needs to do something, I don't see him coming back to it. Oscar Isaac's I think a little too big now to come back for Star Wars. Yeah.
Didn't he
and
say
I think
For Star Wars? Star Wars is the biggest franchise ever made.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't agree with that at all.
I don't think if he is, he's not going to do it for a while. I don't see him doing it for a while. I think the one that you lock in is probably Daisy Ridley because, I mean, she was the focal point. She was the character that everyone fell in love with at the end. Probably going forward. I mean, I don't know. I just don't. It's weird. I obviously want more Star Wars, but I'm not looking past episode 9. I'm just kind of what is there really left that you can make as far as those characters do? I don't know. Is she just we're just gonna have movies where she goes off and fights singular bad guys, or I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of I don't know. Maybe I'm still just kind of sour taste in the mouth, looking back at it a little bit. I kind of honestly at this point would rather see new characters than those ones again. Honestly, maybe just Daisy Ridley's. I'd be down because she's got a dope lightsaber now. Mainly, I just want to see a yellow lightsaber be used, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's so much more that they could do than for right now than going forward in time. Yeah, John Booth. I mean, Jedi Academy type stuff. Yeah, I guess. Personally, I think the books have opened up a lot of stuff that I would love to see, that I think would be quite beneficial, but I don't know.
I want to see the Nihil.
I want to see the Nihil would be dope. I want to see the Chiss. Honestly, I think what Star Wars should do, and this is not just my favoritism towards Thrawn. And granted, I have not read the new book. I have not even read the second one. So I have no idea where that story's going. But I mean, you don't want to like, here comes another empire, like here's the First Order, but you could have whatever the Chiss are doing, like kind of in the background. Maybe they finally like come out because they kind of hide out. Have them come out and be the bad guys. They're not really like, they haven't taken over the galaxy, but from where they're coming from, try to start taking over humans. Have some type of alien species try to take over. It doesn't need to be human versus human. I think that would be dope. Have aliens actually be the ones that are trying to attack the humans instead of just more human conflict. So that's just me.
I think it all depends on the time period, because it seems like they're almost setting up the Chiss to be a threat in between 6 and 7, with where that story is possibly headed. I think they're done with the Empire 2.0 stuff. There's only so many times you can tell that, but there's always gonna be a threat. There's always a threat, no matter what. No matter how big or small it is. I think Rey's a lock to be seen at some point, whether it be a Disney Plus series or movies. I would probably prefer it to be a film or films if it was on Rey. I think the possibility of seeing other characters is really cool too. We can kind of get into some hypotheticals or maybe stories we'd want to see, but I kind of have one off the bat that I think would be really cool to tell. I don't know if they would ever do it. But it almost felt like a backdoor pilot in The Rise of Skywalker, but seeing Poe and Zori Bliss running Spice, which would be really, really cool. Obviously set before the sequel trilogy in that time period, because Poe hadn't been a Resistance fighter at that point. But seeing more of those characters, Babu Frick, and that little crew as they run.
If they make another one, he's 100% coming back. That character, that's almost more of a lock to me than Finn.
But it's stories like that, right? Where it has nothing to do with the larger part in the galaxy, but it's stories about these characters and what they were doing or what they are doing now. Obviously, Poe had a past before he was Resistance. Going forward, I mean, we could see, I don't know, what's another character?
Connix.
Yeah, what is Connix doing now? Like, is she still part of the Resistance, or is she fighting a political fight, right? Like, what about a political thriller with Connix at the capital, the heart of the galaxy or something? Like, you can spin these characters off into where it's not military focused, where Resistance and Empire or whatever it may be, and you can tell a story that is different from what we've gotten, but still have these sequel trilogy characters involved. And like I said, a lot of these characters also have pasts. There's plenty of time to tell stories in between 6 and 7. And then obviously we don't know what happens after 9. And there's years and years of stuff. I know that the highlighted answer is always going to be seeing the Rise of the Jedi again after episode 9. And more than likely, that's probably what we'll get, because that is a movie franchise being waiting to be made, right? That is 3 movies locked right there. A series of the Rise of the Jedi. But that's not necessarily what we need. And we don't know this, but Rogue Squadron could very well have been set after episode 9. We have no idea if it was set after or before or when that time period of a movie was taking place. If that was including someone, not 100% sure. But there's tons of possibilities of seeing characters. And, when Kathleen Kennedy's saying, these aren't characters that we're going to be forgetting, she's not just talking about Rey and Finn and Poe and Kylo. She's talking about the side characters and Rose and Connix and, Babu Frick or Zori Bliss and all of these characters that popped up in these movies that have possibilities of telling their story. I think the possibilities are really endless, because if there's one thing I'm sure about, no matter how much they struggle, they will never stop making Star Wars movies. Never.
Oh, no.
And there are tons of stories to be told, whether it be new or old. And as we've seen lately, they're really getting back and using people who have been in Star Wars before, right? Harrison Ford came back, Mark Hamill came back, Carrie Fisher, among many others who have returned in some capacity, whether it be big or small. Gio was just talking about Hayden Christensen. Like, it's kind of a thing in the Star Wars franchise where people return. And let's be real, like let's see the rise of Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker. Like, come on.
I almost, for me, this is my personal, I would like them to right now stop at 9. Like, don't go further than 9 for right now and go backwards.
I think that's what they're going to do.
I hope so. I want to see before episode 1. Like, I want to see decades, centuries.
Go in the whole Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter.
Yes.
route,
Well,
where
it's funny that you bring this up because I think after we had talked about the struggles that Lucasfilm had when they delayed Patty Jenkins' movie and then obviously Rian Johnson's films as well, there were rumors that a Knights of the Old Republic movie is essentially being fast tracked, and that is what they want to do now.
Which that terrifies me. The fact that they want to fast track it.
But
Wasn't there
fast track,
Benioff and Weiss?
Originally they were rumored to be a part of it, but they're not a part of it. No.
Right.
They were supposed to be a part of the movies that were going to be released in 24, 26, and 28, but then they got cut and they're no longer a part of it. Fast track could mean a lot of different things. It could mean let's do this right now, let's get it out as soon as we can, or it could mean this is the next project we're going to release. We don't know when it's going to be released. I hope it's the latter, but that is, if I wanted anything in Star Wars right now, it's probably a Knights of the Old Republic project, because like Brian said, we're going in a direction we've never seen before. That would be the oldest story we've ever seen in Star Wars as far as in the past. Hundreds
it would be
and
interesting.
Thousands of years in the past for Star Wars.
And it would be definitely interesting because depending on, I think honestly what scares them the most probably is once they establish Knights of the Old Republic, like you can't really, well, you can, but as far as Star Wars, like Knights of the Old Republic is as far back as we've ever been with Star Wars. So like once you start that, you kind of have your like start and stop dates, and now you only have that middle. Granted, that middle is huge, like huge.
Well, yeah, and if Knights of the Old Republic is set 1,000 years before the first prequel, that's 800 years before the High Republic.
Exactly, and you have to think of it this way: one of the biggest things to come from the High Republic is the fact that hyperspace was established at the start of the High Republic, which is 200 years. Anything before that, you're not seeing hyperspace. So
it's
you're
like our travel essentially.
Yes, you're like probably staying in local areas. Like you aren't going to see them jumping across the galaxies like the movies we have. So there's a lot to come into play. And part of me, I mean, obviously the greedy part of me wants the Old Republic, the Old Republic, like as soon as possible. But like, I'd rather them take their time and make sure they're like, all right, this is how we do it. This is how we're going to do it. This is like the foundation. Go from there. And I hope that's what they're doing and not just like fast track. All right, we need an Old Republic because we know it's going to do good and it'll make people want to watch Star Wars again. And that's my biggest fear, is they do something like that.
When is Darth Revan set?
Old Republic.
That.
Oh,
That he's the main character of the video game anyway.
Give me a Sith Wars TV show. A Game of Thrones Sith Wars TV show.
I think that's movies. That's too big to be on a TV series.
I think you can do TV shows. I think it would be groundbreaking. I would love to see like maybe start it with a show, go 3 seasons, movie. Do like another 3 seasons, movie. Like, and just keep this storyline. No one's ever done that before.
Well, guess who is, Brian? Peaky Blinders.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They're ending the series of the movie.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I mean, yes, like that. But I'm saying, like, do it like 3 movie, 3 move like
I
that.
don't think they'll ever do that.
Well,
and
still.
and it's just my opinion, but I think that if you're talking about like Sith Wars, that's a movie franchise. That's not a TV series. That's way too big to be a TV series.
You could spin off into.
You could spin off a character, like for sure. You could spin off like a random character or maybe the rise of a certain character or something. But as far as like a war,
I don't want to see
100% films. 100%.
My thing is, I don't want to see like the story of a character through Sith Wars. I want to see lots of them. I want to see the Targaryens versus the this versus the that versus the that, for like taking people out. And I don't want Stark. Like,
No. I don't.
And I feel like that's
what
what you do with a movie.
No, I don't think so. I think if you follow what Star Wars history has been, maybe even like something like Legends, you would follow, the Sith Wars of the Jedi and the Sith, and
Andy, that's
the hundreds of the hundreds of Sith and thousands of Force users around the galaxy. And then what you could do is what I think would be really cool, but the end of that story, whether it be 3 movies or 5 movies or 7 movies, the finishing scenes and moments of that story is Darth Bane setting the rule of 2. Boom. It's over. Done with. And you set that up and you get your Sith Wars, and then you set up the future of the rule of 2, and how that's set up. Because if you have Sith Wars, eventually you're going to have to tell the story of how that all stopped. Like, why are they not around? Obviously we know why, but you're going to have to visually tell that to people of why and how that is no longer around. And the vehicle would obviously be Darth Bane.
My whole thing with the whole topic that we're talking about is I just don't understand, like, why are we looking at, like, granted, I get it. People are in love with these characters. They're the most recent characters. Rey, she's a big deal. It's at Disneyland. Kids love her. That whole thing. I get that you want to do more. But there are more older Star Wars fans than younger, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
It depends on what the age.
I would say, let's say 20 and up.
Well, yeah, because you have the original trilogy fans. So, yes.
Okay. To me, there is so much that us older fans are still waiting to find out that they could make so much money on compared to the newer fans. Like, it sounds morbid, but like, satisfy the group that has been around for a while. Once that dies off, like, go back to the younger one and go, like, make the newer stuff, the nostalgia. Star Wars is pure nostalgia. Like, it hits you in the feels of your memories. So, like, give us the fact that we have yet to establish Plagueis as in canon, other than a shadowy image in a book, blows my mind. Like, he has been mentioned since what? Which movie?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. We've known about him since Revenge of the Sith, and that's that little line and like maybe a little bit in a book is canon. That's it. Like, how have we not touched that yet? There's just, to me, that's just me. I think you should go backwards before you start going forward. Like,
well, I mean, that's kind of what George Lucas did in the beginning, right? I mean, with The New Hope, Obi-Wan, Alec Guinness, he talks to Luke about the Clone Wars and all that. And what, like 30 years later, we get Attack of the Clones, or not 30 years, whatever. And then we get the Clone Wars series on Cartoon Network, then on Disney and whatnot. And look at what that's happening. So all this is bound to happen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So
I will say this, and to whatever Kathleen Kennedy is pointing towards, and again, her comments could be pointing to something that's 10 years down the line, 20, the fact that maybe they're just having conversations about it, whatever. I think that from everything we've seen so far, when that Disney stream happened last year, where they dropped all that news, that they are aiming to do new things rather than step back into something old at the moment. Granted, the Lando, the stuff that we've seen, right? Like maybe minus one or two projects, right? Rogue Squadron was something new. Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie is going to be something new. The Acolyte, obviously Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett is returning to something we know, but obviously also he wasn't really like that involved in the Star Wars original trilogy. They seem to be going in a direction that we want to see, which is new stories. That can also be said for the published side of things with the High Republic and everything that they're doing at the moment. It's still up in the air, but I mean, I would much rather see Knights of the Old Republic than something to do with the new characters that we just met and were just done with 2 years ago. The Rise of Skywalker was only 2 years ago. But I do think it might be a little time away. Maybe they'll get another movie or two or three in their grasp, and then they'll shoot out a Rey movie or something, and or maybe it is a Disney Plus series. I don't know.
My thing is just, what are they pumping out right now that's making them crazy money? New things with what? Old characters.
well, yeah, I mean, as far as what, merchandising or like
Everything.
attractions or
I mean,
yeah. Well,
what
yeah,
is-
I mean,
what is making Mandalorian so successful right now? Bringing in old characters. They literally brought in Luke Skywalker. Like, Ahsoka has been around since when?
2008.
2008. Not a new character. Like, they're bringing in old characters that are making people lose their minds. Thrawn, that's true.
Gotcha.
Grogu is just adorable. Thrawn's been around since original trilogy in the books.
Well, expanded universe.
Well, that's what I meant. Like the books.
early
though.
90s, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. Just saying. But they're going to do whatever they want to do.
They need to do something with pod racing. I don't give a damn what. Just bring
That.
back pod.
They need to hire this guy. I have a
Anything
script
pod
waiting to be
racing.
Yeah,
made.
me.
Literally a story waiting to be made that's sitting on my computer right here.
That Geo, that is so spot on. People would eat that up.
I would
Hell
pay.
yeah.
I'd pay $500 to watch one movie on podcast. No joke.
Yeah.
D-box,
No
baby.
joke.
I don't
I'd
like
debox the hell out of that movie.
Jake's little like pod racing show. Like, people would go crazy.
My
Over
story is
like, it's like a NAS. Like, I mean, Ford v Ferrari type.
don't reveal too much, Brian.
Huh?
Don't reveal too much. I don't want my story taken.
I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, it's, come on, like, it's right there. Just take it. Like,
Morons. Before I get heated, we need to move on. I'm gonna be so. It's gonna make me mad if they don't make pod racing anyway. All right, so let's get to our main topic of the night. We're having a little fun. It is that jolly time of the year. Christmas movies are now here, and we're gonna spend the next month watching them, hanging out with them with your family, friends, loved ones, and we're just gonna talk about, kind of go around the table one by one and reveal some movies that we watch each and every year, or try to at least, with our busy schedules. And I also want to hear from both of you as far as what to you makes a Christmas movie, and what makes it feel like a Christmas movie, or is there something that has to happen that makes it a Christmas movie? I think it would be. Oh, and also, don't know if you want market as a NASCAR. It'd be more regional.
yeah, no, not NASCAR, but just like that, like racing, the gritty racing aspect.
Harrison, You should go back to a Padawan podcast episode and hear my pitch. Anyway,
You should. Jake will
Gio,
maybe post it in the comments.
Gio, I want to hear from you first. What makes a Christmas movie? Like, is it something that happens in it? Is it the setting? Is it the
holiday
spirit?
movie? Are we specifically?
Well, I'll say Christmas because holiday can be considered Thanksgiving, and we're talking more so about Christmas.
Well, I meant like, what 8 Crazy Nights? Like, are we counting like those, like that too?
Isn't that a Christmas movie? Isn't that a Christmas movie?
No, that's Hanukkah.
Oh, okay. So we'll go holiday movie. What makes a holiday / Christmas movie for you, Gio?
Two things that one thing that you mentioned was setting. Obviously, for me, I mean, it makes no sense to have a Christmas movie in June. I mean, it would have to take place during the winter time, in my opinion. And just the theme of family, and like rediscovering the important things in life, the things that really matter. Something I don't really hear people talk about enough is, you have all these stories and everything about, family, they're all coming together and they're all smiling and this and that, but that's not always the case. Okay. Sometimes, Christmas is an event to where you can kind of make amends, or, talk to people who you haven't talked to in however long. And for me, I think those are the most, special kinds of moments that happen in Christmas, is when you get to talk to family that you haven't talked to in the longest time, and see family that you haven't seen and whatnot, and just be reminded, because you're so caught up in this world and the materialistic things and this and that, all this, we live in a world of tribalism and whatnot. Like, Christmas is the time where you get to come together and just, you're not thinking about anything else. You're just happy to be around family. And so for me, at the core of a Christmas movie is something involving family. No Fast and Furious, but just
the fact that they've not made a Christmas Fast and Furious,
they should do something like a holiday special. I would watch that.
Please don't put that in the universe. Please.
I was just about to say Gio would be all over that type of movie.
Hey, get some eggnog and some liquor, and yeah,
Corona eggnog.
So I will, by Rachel's rules, Mr. Brian Nussbaum, Die Hard is absolutely a Christmas.
It is 100%.
It is set at a Christmas party, literally on Christmas Eve. It's a flippin' Christmas movie.
Yep. I'm waiting for Gio to say a specific movie.
Oh, we're going to talk about Die Hard, but yeah, to
it.
answer your question, I know it was kind of all over the place, but at the core, it's family and, setting in a winter time. So,
Brian, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's always typically that element of family. I mean, especially looking at the ones that I have listed, but family, that winter feeling, like everyone's all like excited for Christmas, the lights, and I don't know, Christmas movies always kind of hit you in the feels a little bit. So the warm, fuzzy feeling type stuff is what I think of. But yeah, mostly like they always tend to like tie back to either family or like positivity, being good to others, things like that. Unless it's Die Hard, then there's guns and terrorists and stuff like that.
It's the best kind of Christmas
movie. It is 100% a Christmas movie.
Well, there is positivity. I mean, the relationship between the cop outside and Bruce Willis, and yeah,
so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo everything you guys said. You guys pretty much summed it up. Holiday spirit, the setting of the time. If there's like Christmas lights and like ugly Christmas sweaters and stuff, I'm sorry, but it's a Christmas movie. Like music, yes, it's a Christmas movie. Let's go around and just name some specific. Does anybody want to go first in case anybody else is stolen? Anybody want to? Okay, Gio, kick us off.
Yeah, well, I want to quickly bring up a newer movie because a lot of my movies are just classics and the no surprises. But this one I saw today. It's on HBO Max. It's called 8-Bit Christmas,
I've
starring
heard
Neil.
about
I
that.
keep hearing about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris, Steve Zahn, who I haven't seen in a while. And it's pretty much a story about this Neil Patrick Harris is talking to his daughter about when he was a kid back in the late 80s, and this story about getting a Nintendo, an 8-bit entertainment system, and very nostalgic. Again, setting definitely Christmas, the message in there, it's just you're just so focused on, as a kid, what do you want, this is what I really want, and if I don't get it, it's Christmas is over, it's ruined and whatnot. It reminds you what Christmas is all about. Like I said, leans heavily on the nostalgia. It's a small hour-and-a-half movie, highly recommended. It's called 8-Bit Christmas. Check it out.
Okay. I mean, like Brian said, I've also heard a lot about it, so
Yeah.
very interested. Real quick, Brian, before we get to you, I want to bring up Brian Nussbaum's top 10 Christmas movies. He has a full list here. So number 10, he's got Arthur Christmas. Number 9, The Night Before. 8, Scrooge. 7, Home Alone. 6, Christmas with the Cranks. I'm super surprised because have you ever seen Christmas with the Cranks Rotten Tomato score? Oof.
It's like
That's
20%
on
or something.
Number 5, Bad Santa. Number 4, The Santa Claus 2. Number 3, Jim Carrey's Grinch. 2, Home Alone 2. Oh, Home Alone 2. And number 1, Elf. I think Elf's on there for quite a bit of people, and one person might even bring that up. Mr. Avlicino?
Well, no, I mean, that's on my list, but I was going to go steer away from it because that's like the everyone answer, I feel like.
So just so you guys know, Christmas with the Cranks is 5% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. I'll talk. Well, should I just talk about that one since it's on my list? I've seen that one so many
So have I.
times.
And it does not deserve a 5%.
My mom
does not deserve a 5%.
That might be one of my mom's favorite Christmas movies of all time. And because of her, I've seen it so many times. It's not bad. It's great. It's literally on my list. That scared me. So it's definitely on my list because, like I said, like there's so many Christmases that I remember even before, like the month of December. My mom sees it on TV. She's watching it. So, yeah, the fact that it has 5%. I did not know it was that bad. The Hot Chick has a higher score than that.
Hot chick.
Yeah. So, yeah, Christmas with the Cranks is definitely one for me. My personal favorite.
Okay, you're gonna name a bunch of them?
No, I didn't. Since that one kept being talked about.
Okay, go ahead.
Didn't want to come back to it later. My personal favorite, Jake already knows, is Just Friends.
Ryan Reynolds in a fat suit, everybody.
Ryan Reynolds on a Ferris.
For the beginning of the movie, anyway.
Amy Smart, I believe is her name, right? Amy Smart. That movie. If you have not seen Just Friends,
his little brother's the best.
His little brother is hilarious. If you have not seen Just Friends, please do yourself a favor and watch it. It is on. I think they just added it to Netflix for
the first time. It's on streaming for the first time ever.
Yes, and it is. Mom got phone. It's hilarious. It is probably. I mean, Elf kind of almost like sits in its own window for me, like most people, but probably is my favorite Christmas movie is Just Friends, just because it is just ridiculous and so funny. And this was before Ryan Reynolds was like everyone's man.
Well, he was doing this in Van Wilder and like all these random movies. Yeah.
So yeah, no. Oh my God, Just Friends. I love that movie. So that's one like it's better during Christmas time, but it is one that like I have no problem watching in May. It's just that good to me.
Fair enough. Before I name one or two, I want to bring up Tim Franco's here because I have to bring up some Christmas horror. Black Christmas,
Okay.
1974, Rare Exports, and Silent Night, Deadly Night. Half?
1 and 2.
Oh, 1 and 2.
Ooh.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was like half. What? I've never seen any of those, and I don't know if I ever will.
I've never heard any of those in
Tim
my
Franco,
life.
you're on another level with that horror. I know you're a horror junkie, though, man. So
Yeah.
kudos. Maybe if Jacob's still watching, Jacob's a big horror guy. So I'd be interested to see if he ever said or have seen those or thought about them. So I'm going to bring up two. I'm not going to bring up Die Hard because Die Hard's the greatest Christmas movie of all time, and we all know it. So blah. There you go. Sit on that.
No argument here.
I'm going to bring up one that I think is just so much fun. And it also just got added to streaming, and I cannot wait to watch it. That is Jingle All the Way with Turbo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's Jingle All the Way. I know Tim Franco's been saying in the chat for most of the night. It just got added to Netflix. It's officially on Netflix. I cannot wait to watch it. Enjoy some Arnold Schwarzenegger and Turbo Man.
Those have been selling out like hotcakes at Walmart's.
And it also stars a young Anakin Skywalker as
Lloyd.
his son in the film. And
Sinbad.
I was gonna say Sinbad plays the mailman. Right?
Yeah.
Mailman?
Yeah.
His
I think it's what it is.
nemesis mailman.
Yeah, it's such a it's so obviously it's so strange seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger in that type of movie, but it just totally is fun and cheerful. And it's a father trying to get his son a toy, and some cahoots happen, and then he becomes Turbo Man, and it's such a fun movie. It's definitely a movie that I've definitely tried to. Oh, it's not. It might be on Disney Plus on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's Disney Plus.
Is it Disney Plus? Okay, I
I
mixed
think
up the two.
they
I know
own
that
it.
Just Friends is Netflix. So Jingle All the
Yeah.
Way is on Disney Plus. That's what it is. That's what it is. But the other one I wanted to mention is a newer one, but it's actually one of my personal Christmas favorites. It's a movie that I was expecting to actually be very bad, and ended up being extremely good. And this is a personal opinion. But Office Christmas Party with Jason Bateman, Olivia Munn, Jennifer Aniston. I love Office Christmas Party. This movie is such a good, fun time. Again, it just plays to my style of comedy. It's outlandish. It's ridiculous. I love Bateman. I love Olivia Munn. Jennifer Aniston, this type of movie is also really, really funny. It's set in Chicago during Christmas. And they're throwing a Christmas party in an office building when they're not supposed to be. And it's one of those movies that is completely chaotic. It's a blast of a time and crazy things happen, but I personally really, really enjoy it. I've tried to do a watch along here multiple times on Apocaflix with it, but we just haven't been able to because it hasn't been available for streaming. It's only on renting right now. It's not on a platform. So if you ever get a chance to watch Office Christmas Party and you haven't, it's a really fun time. Nice little break of a movie. It's a rousing good time. So Office Christmas Party.
I need to watch that. I feel like I'd have a really good time watching that.
I might have it on Blu-ray actually.
Probably.
I gotta look.
What else you got, Gio?
How about Lethal Weapon? The first one.
It is set during Christmas. The first action scene is set in a Christmas tree lot.
Yeah, with Mel Gibson. The drug.
It's set in a Christmas tree lot.
And the Murtaughs welcoming Martin Riggs into their family, and just the whole dynamic between Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. Speaking of which, Lethal Weapon 5 on the way. Excited about that. For me, I think it's a Christmas movie, and I didn't realize this until recently that, it's not one that I think about, but it's one of the greats, one of the all-time classics, man. Lethal Weapon.
It is great. I don't think Brian's ever seen Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, that was the one that you guys challenged me to. Isn't that?
Are you sure?
Yeah, Mel Gibson
was, and I think he did not like
Donald
it.
Glover. Yeah, I thought it was okay.
Wow. Okay.
It was weird. The first 3 scenes was each main character naked. It was weird.
That's what I wonder if you watched the right Lethal Weapon.
It was Mel Gibson naked. Isn't it Donald Glover?
Danny Glover.
Danny Glover, naked in a bathtub with his kids bringing him a present. Weird.
It's the
And
80s, bro.
And then the movie opened up with the chick getting killed butt ass naked out the window. So, I was like, what did you guys make me watch?
From the director of Superman.
Lethal Weapon is just great. It's brilliant. Brian, you got any more that you want to bring up?
I mean, I have my stereotypical, like your stereotypical.
Yeah, what are the ones that you want to watch every year?
Well, here, I was gonna pitch one that's on my list, but I feel like it's better said from you because I definitely didn't find this movie by myself. So I'm gonna tee it up to you, but how do you say it? Klaus?
Oh, Klaus. Yeah. The Netflix animated film Netflix on Netflix. Yeah. Klaus is
that to you.
It's really, really good. It's one of the most heartfelt stories that you'll see in an animated movie. The animation is also very brilliant. If you have not seen it, it's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. Definitely go watch that. Tim Franco, if you would have waited like 5 seconds, I would have gotten there. Tim.
Trying not to name the obvious ones.
And Andy, I would have gotten there. As well. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. Michelle Monaghan is literally dressed as a Santa all night. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian, do you have any more outside of Klaus?
Yeah. Well, so obviously back to my last 1, 2, 3 are your nostalgic
you are the same person.
Ones, like Elf. Obviously, I'm not gonna even waste time talking about Elf. And my last 2 was Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm,
I mean,
which Gio you've seen officially, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was challenged to that months ago.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, another one that everyone knows. But my one that I feel like not everyone loves, most people, but Jim Carrey's Grinch.
Yeah.
Ron Howard. Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, 100%.
That one.
Wait, you don't think everyone loves that?
I don't know.
I think everyone loves that movie.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it twice in theaters.
Yeah. I adore that movie. It's to me, like, honestly, like the most watchable of anything Grinch. I never saw the Benedict Cumberbatch one, but I heard that was decent.
It was just really long.
Yeah. But
it was only an hour and a half and it was really long.
Oh.
Oof.
But I love that movie. And I think what also makes me love it too was when I had seen it, it was when I went to Florida for vacation, and the Universal Studios there has a Whoville, and they made the whole thing. You felt like you were literally in that movie, including the rides, everything. So that place is insane. It's in Islands of Adventure. So I think that kind of makes it that much more special to me. Just because, like, the height of when that movie comes out, you're one of the most classic Christmas stories, and then you feel like you're literally like on the set, like in that movie. So yeah, that Grinch, I'm not a huge Grinch person, but if I am going to gravitate towards it, it's that specifically.
A couple for me that I try to watch, and I'll just kind of name them quickly. We don't have to talk about them like in depth, because they're pretty well known. Obviously, the 2 that were mentioned in the chat already, if people hadn't, blown the cover, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, love. Christmas Vacation is a staple for me. I almost put that as the thumbnail today because I love that so much. The Night Before, the Seth Rogen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anthony Mackie movie. I know Jacob specifically really likes it. I wanted to make sure I bring it up. I actually really enjoy that movie as well. And And then there was a couple others that I wanted to. Home Alone obviously hasn't really been mentioned. Home Alone's a staple, especially because we grew up in an era when that was kind of a kid movie for us. Definitely watched that quite a bit. We mentioned that one. There was one. Love Actually, super lovey-dovey movie that I watched probably way too early. And it's actually a pretty good movie. And then I also really enjoy Why Him. If anybody's ever seen that one, Bryan Cranston, James Franco film. That is actually quite funny, a lot funnier than I was expecting it to be. So I definitely have a bunch of movies that we try to keep on rotate. We watch movies quite a bit in this household. And Rise of the Guardians, an animated movie about Santa Claus and Easter Bunny and stuff, and they're trying to save themselves. And I actually quite enjoy that movie as well as an animated movie. But before we move on, before we head any more, just for the last part of this show here, I'm going to bring in our fourth member. He did show up. He's been quite busy lately. And that is one Mr. Keith Barnes. What's up, buddy?
Keith.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Did he take himself out?
He take himself out? There we go.
Hey.
What's up, buddy?
B.
That's for trivia next. That's for trivia last week. Yeah. Well, Keith, while we only do have a little bit here, wrap up. There we go. A movie that you probably watch on a yearly basis is Scrooged, huh?
This is not just one of my favorite Christmas movies, one of my favorite movies of all time. Directed by the late great Richard Donner. Gio and I talked about it when we talked about his passing over on Phantom United. But yes, this movie is wonderful. It's a retelling of A Christmas Carol, which there's lots of those. I think Star Drew put Muppets in there. I don't know if you're talking about the Muppet Christmas Carol, but that's another one of my favorites. But Scrooged is like number one for me all time. This is one of my favorites. So Rachel, hello Rachel. That's a very funny. My internet has a weak lag. That's very funny. But yeah, Scrooged. Jake, you hit on a couple of them. Home Alone, obviously. I remember seeing Home Alone in the theater. I think I was maybe 10 when it came out, 10 or 11. So yeah, it's how old I am. But yeah, that's one. Definitely A Nightmare Before Christmas, which we always wound up watching twice. Obviously, at Halloween and at Christmas. We actually mostly watch it at Christmas, though. I find I've always watched it at Christmas time than Halloween.
Watch it in November, just right in between.
Sure, yeah. You watch it right around Veterans Day. You watch it right in the middle there. But yeah, obviously, Elf, of course. I mean, that's a classic one. Trying to think of, you guys knocked off a bunch of. Jake, you just mentioned Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I know that's set at Christmas, but I never really thought of that. I guess I know a lot of Shane Black's movies are.
If a movie is set at Christmas, isn't it like a lock that it's a Christmas movie?
Well, I mean, people. I feel
Depends,
more
like we said at the beginning, how you define a Christmas movie.
Sure. For me, it's more like if a movie comes out at Christmas time ish, like kind of that November, December Christmas time.
So Spider-Man's going to be a Christmas movie?
Spider-Man No Way Home is a Christmas movie? The Matrix Resurrections is a Christmas movie?
Well, here's the thing. Ever since, like, we'll take right now, when the new Star Wars regime took over and they started releasing all the Star Wars at December time.
Those are all Christmas movies?
Feel like just ever since Force Awakens, like Star Wars has, like, December comes and it feels like Star Wars time. Or at least when the movies were coming out. Not as much now.
First one was that on an ice planet at the end.
Those are not.
It
Christmas
was.
movies.
Might have been a Christmas tree here and
Christmas
there.
doesn't even exist in Star Wars.
I didn't say they're Christmas movies. I said, but December is like feels like Star Wars time. Like, so whenever the holidays were coming, at least during that stretch when the movies were coming out, not so much now. Although we have been getting Mandalorian around fall time, and we're getting, the Boba Fett one. So I don't know. But then this time of year, there's always like a new Star Wars thing. Ever since like 2015, there's been like a new-ish kind of Star Wars thing right around now, except for Solo. But so like that 1 year before Solo came out. But other than that, like it's just like a little Star Wars time right around Christmas time, for the last few years. So
now it's Spider-Man time.
Now Spider-Man and the Matrix. Yeah, what if the Matrix is Christmas time now? The Matrix movies are going to be at Christmas.
Please put Neo in a Santa hat. Please put him in a Santa hat. All right. Well, before we start to wrap up, Gio, just do you have any other Christmas movies that you want to make sure to mention? Movies that you really enjoy watching by yourself or with your family? Anyone?
I mean, you guys kind of named them all for the most part. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Scrooge.
The fact that we have not had a debate because of you bringing up Iron Man 3 is upsetting me right now.
You know what? I was just gonna bring that up because somebody in the chat brought up Iron Man 3, and
I've been waiting all day because of this for you.
That doesn't feel Christmas time movie at all. Like it came out in May.
The setting
and
the music, which I always find myself revisiting that version of Jingle Bells that Tony does the thing to.
He's dancing
like
to.
that version's dope. But the whole metaphor about Tony giving up his suits and just like going back to what's important, and for him, his family, Pepper Potts, Happy Hogan, and whatnot. You literally see all of his Iron Man suits blow up in the sky. That could be like all his toys. He obsessed over it. What did we just talk about with Christmas and how people obsess over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, materialistic stuff, and they forget what's really important. So I don't know.
Tim Franco said it best. Shane Black equals Christmas.
Except for the Predator, which is the worst thing that's
and that's a shame.
I think Fast 9's the worst thing that ever happened. But anyway.
I see, but another one. Yeah, sure. But another one. Somebody. Lord of the Rings here. That's a good point, John News. Absolutely. For those 3 years that those movies were coming out, it was absolutely like a Christmas time.
Wait, are we saying
that's kind of what I'm.
I don't know.
They came out in December. Each one came out in December. That's what I'm saying.
But just because they're released in December doesn't make them a Christmas movie.
But there's like a feeling to it. I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
didn't Midway come out in December?
At the time.
No, it did not. Aquaman did, and that's definitely not a Christmas movie.
When you watch something, especially a series like Lord of the Rings, like you look at the time in December when those movies were coming, and then the year after when it didn't, like when it was over, it's like, oh man, Rachel. It's December, it's holidays. There's no Lord of the Rings.
I mean, if you're watching Lord of the Rings on and trying to prove to yourself that it's a Christmas movie, I mean, no, like, sorry, but no. You're muted, Brian. All right. Well, I think this is a perfect time to kind of wrap up here. As we mentioned, a butt ton of Christmas movies, our favorites, some movies that are very well known out in the universe, but also some movies that maybe you had not seen before or maybe given a chance to. We named a lot of them. Make sure you guys letting us know which movies you like to watch during this time of the year. We got a lot of them from there. We got a lot of different genres as well. We appreciate that, Tim Franco. Always appreciate dropping the horror on us. Very much appreciated there. And before we get out of here, we'll go ahead and let the crew plug and tell everyone where you can find them online. Why don't we start with Mr. Brian Abalacino?
Here and B Abalacino on Twitter and A Certain Point of View if you're into movie trivia and the Schmodown, because Jake and I are flying down. Well, I'm flying. He's driving in 2 days for Spectacular and a whole bunch of nonsense and mayhem. So, yeah. I love this. Was the most not chaotic, but like
Random show.
Random. Star Wars, the future of Star Wars, and Christmas movies.
Well, I have a bunch of topics planned for December. Like they're already lined out, but I couldn't do most of them without Jacob because I knew he would strangle me. So I threw a show together tonight and it worked out. It was a lot of fun.
Oh
Mr.
my
Keith,
God, Andy, safe travels. See
yeah,
you soon.
Andy's flying from all the way from Australia, so safe travels, bud.
Wow.
Mr. Keith Barnes, where can everybody find you online, man?
Hey, thank you. Same as Brian. You can find me here, Apocaflix, every Tuesday, most of the time, usually in the last half of the show. And Rachel, I wish we could.
Keith's you're handcuffed to your truck, right? Isn't that how it works in December?
Pretty much.
Truck
This time of year,
driveway.
Yeah. I wish they'd let me do that. But yeah, you can find me on here, and also with Jacob Bartley here, Bartley and Barnes, one of our shirts. We should be having a new episode. I've talked to him maybe this weekend, if not early next week, but sometime within the next, I'd say 10 days. You'll get
Whenever we feel
Bartley
like
Barnes. We're gonna reach. Well, yeah, that's actually but
I'm ready to show whatever we feel like.
But yeah. We're gonna recap all the stuff, doing movies and TV, and maybe a little bit of sports from the month of November. And then you can find me with Gio, Phantom United, talking about some other cool stuff over there as well.
And Mr. Gio Ramos.
What Keith said, yeah. Phantom United. This week's news recap is already out, so check that out on the channel. And of course, on here with these fine gentlemen.
Yay, we made it.
We made it. We got spammed. Woo!
Oh God! Right at the end. Wow.
How come? I swear
we get popular. That's how you know we're popular. Everybody.
They show up on everyone else's stream except mine.
And
oh, what's that say? What's going on?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Qui-Gon Jake 2N. Someone else took it before I did. POV, like Brian mentioned, which we'll be doing some stuff this weekend for Spectacular. We will have a live happy hour episode on Friday night with the chaotic POV house. And I also do a little show called The Whiskey Jedi, which you can see on my personal channel. Just type in Jake Berlin. It pops up on there. Multiple episodes. I did one last week. Very fun episode. There might actually be a live episode this week from some Star Wars Schmoedown competitors joining me from the POV house. So look out for that. The likes of John Hoey and the Damons and Sean Sullivan. And it could be a lot of fun. Schmoedown players included. So make sure checking that out. Apocaflix here multiple times a week. Tomorrow we will have our Hawkeye episode 3 review out. That'll be up tomorrow on the channel. We'll be going live talking about some Hawkeye. That is on Marvel Rewind. First 2 episodes are out. You can check out Jacob and Brian's review of the first 2 episodes from last week up on the channel already.
Yes, you can hear Jacob for an hour call him Hot Guy, or at least that's what it sounds like when he says Hawkeye.
And you can check that out this week again, reviewing episode 3. So hope everyone travels safe. Hope everyone is doing well. Stay safe out there in the world, whether you are traveling or not. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we appreciate you guys and have yourself a great night. Bye, guys.